So this is how we're gonna set up for the sunrise sunset movement. You wanna get a mat, and then we need a blanket to be folded up so that when you lie down on your side, it's gonna support your neck. So for me, I could have a little bit more support, but I'm actually pretty comfortable with this. I think this would be ideal. So you can find, I can actually roll this up a bit more possibly to make it a little bit higher so that my neck can be fully supported. So that's a bit better actually. We're gonna set ourselves up as if we were sitting in a chair but lying down. So I'm at a T, and there's a couple points to help find yourself in this position. The first thing is, can I see my toes as I look over my knees? Now I can. So that's going to tell me that my knees are at 90 degrees as best as I can. Otherwise, they're too far back. But if I can see my toes, that's good. I also want to make sure that my hips are stacked on top of each other. This can be a little hard to figure out, but you can kind of adjust by pushing, one hip back. But it should feel like if you drew a line down, it would go through both of the bones of the pelvis straight through and hit each of them. The most important thing that's the hardest, you can't see from this angle, and I'll change it a bit, but is to make sure that the spine is straight, not like I'm leaning too far forward, not I'm leaning too far back, and then it's coming up, in its straight natural curve from my pelvis. Now, I've been doing this a while, so I've got it pretty well figured out. But and I'll show that in a different angle, but the other thing that we want to make sure is that the shoulders are stacked just as the pelvis is. In order to do that, we really need to make sure that this shoulder that you're lying on is not, usually it's too far forward. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'll show the other angle. But you need it to come back. And do you see how that's different already? Here, it's too far forward, and I'm actually kind of leaning like this. I want to be like this, stacked. Now, the other thing, in addition to having the neck well supported, is that we want this actually to be long enough, because when we're doing sunrise sunset, we actually turn this way, and we need support as the head rolls with our body. So adjust that a little bit and make sure that for the full roll, you've got support all the way through, and I do. So let me show you the setup with a little bit of a better angle so you can see what can make this a little tricky. One of the things that you can do is if you have like a bolster, you could have, or you can line up the bolster on the edge of the mat, and then you can, as it's kind of lying there like this, from head to tail, you can tell if you are straight against it or not. Or you can have someone spot you too for the first couple times until you start to get a sense in your body. So let's see what you can see through this angle. All right. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to tell that well in this one. Let's put this back. So as I'm lying here, so you can tell if I went like this, you can tell that I'm not straight. Or if I'm too far forward, you can see a little bit, I think, better angle. But this is really what I'm looking for. This should be, yeah, because you can tell if my rear is too far back or it's too far forward. And I think I can even, oh yeah, no. So I've got about this much space between my bum, and I've got about this much space between my shoulders. So I need to bring this back a little bit. So that can be a helpful way to spot too. Yeah, that is good. So I'll even just demonstrate in this angle, the sunrise sunset, and then I'll show from the other one. Again, we want to have this adjusted. I'm going to inch myself forward a little bit. Should be all right. I can see my toes. I'm pretty well stacked. That looks all right. Okay, so for the first part of sunrise sunset, this is the essential movement. We're opening up as we roll back. So you want to make sure you have enough space so you can open up completely over here. Now, I think that this is too high or low to use your whole arm. So I personally like to bend it and kind of have my hand near my armpit. And what I'm going to imagine is it's the elbow that's driving the motion, that we're kind of thinking about opening, but it's not the elbow that's actually in charge of the movement. What's happening cross body is that we're actually opening up from the hip on the ground through in a diagonal to the shoulder on top. So it's really more of a diagonal opening across the torso as we come over. And maybe this is as far as you can go. And then if you have a pillow or a blanket, you can have that underneath the shoulder blade here. So you can open up as much as you can well, but yet still be comfortable. And you can even let the arm go out. So there's a bunch of negative space under me right now because I haven't done the movement yet. And you can see that I don't look as comfortable as I know I could be if I had a pillow underneath. So let me show what the movement would look like if I'm doing it nice, slow, and consciously. I'm thinking about opening up from the bottom hip to the upper shoulder. Those 2 points in space getting further apart. My head just kind of turns with, and then eventually I'll release out here. Take a breath and really feel that opening across the chest and the torso. So that's from that angle. Let's go back to the original so you can see it this way as well. So I need to be well stacked. Shoulders back. Okay. Now I'm going to bend my elbow. And I'm going to open. I'm going to imagine, sometimes, here we'll just imagine opening here from the elbow. And that's actually going to look a little bit different than if I actually think about opening from the cross body. Because here my elbow is just along for the ride. I open. Now I don't have enough space for my full arm here, but I can actually already tell that my top shoulder blade is on the ground. There's much less space underneath me now. And it's primarily because I've done the movement a couple times, but it's also because I opened from here. Because this is a full body pattern rather than just being about my shoulder. And then the other way you can think about doing this is opening across the shoulder. So many of us are very, we're hunched over our computer and there's sort of like a protection tightening across here, especially in the winter too. And so you could think about just opening from the bottom shoulder to the top one. And then taking a couple breaths while you're open. You can even, if it's comfortable, extend the top leg. So it's resting still on the knees and supported. But that can feel nice as well to open up a little bit more if it doesn't cause any more discomfort. And then when we come back, it's really the shoulder blade here, where it would be underneath on the backside, pushing me forward. So that's sunrise sunset. And I've got another video that will walk you through this, so you can just put it on recording.